Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is round 2 because my battery died. So today we're going to talk about Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow Daybell, and we're going to hone in on the social behavior of the suspects and their associates and their family, but we're going to keep it classy. About the family. First disclaimer, I'm not a psychologist and I'm not a sociologist, so let's just get that out of the way. And the second disclaimer, and this goes for all my videos, all the comments in these videos, they're my opinion. And any suspects or people mentioned, they are totally innocent until adjudicated guilty in a court of law, and YouTube is not a court of law. The following video is just my speculation, it's my opinions, it's woodshedding on stuff that I've heavily researched. And if you're not up to speed on this very complicated case, I suggest you check out the last 3 videos I did on this. I want to do this case justice. I also appreciate that the people in the comment section are keeping it classy, and I love that. I love that people can have an opinion, have a differing opinion, but we're going to keep it classy and we're not going to fight each other. And a big thank you to the new subscribers. Again, I hope to do this case justice. I've been thinking about this case a lot, and I might be even like about 2 weeks behind on the most current developments. But I want, as an overarching theme today, to say, how do we as people do better? How do we better serve our society and each other in cases like this? Like looking at this case, how do we better serve each other? Like looking back, what's our Chinese takeaway? And my answer, I think, is if you see something, say something. And let me give you some examples. Kay and Larry Woodcock called in a welfare check on JJ because they hadn't been able to FaceTime him. They saw something, they said something. Charles Vallow, he called the police on Lori after she allegedly started talking about him being possessed. He got an order of protection against her. He got a petition started getting her evaluated at the Community Bridges Healthcare. He saw something. He said something. Multiple times. If someone is predicting the death of a perfectly healthy individual, say something to the appropriate authorities. And let them sort it out, you know? Like Brandon Boudreaux, protecting his children. Like Ian Pulowski's ex, the one that Ian Pulowski marries, Melanie Boudreaux, now she's Melanie Boudreaux Pulowski. Well, he had confided to his ex that his new wife, was saying some interesting things, and the ex convinced him to go to the police. She heard something, she said something. She said, you need to go to the police, and he did, and he wore a wire. That's a good thing. I'm not going to get into, how he feels at this moment, this very day. What he did was a good thing. He saw something, he said something. Or like Colby Ryan, brother of Tylee Ryan, older son of Lori Daybell, coming forward, trying, pleading for his mother to produce the children. If you see something, you say something. You take the risk. You do what is right. And I think that is a good takeaway. I think that is a good thing for us to take away from this case. Not every single person is a villain. There are some people here who I believe that were victims. So I want to talk about the cult concept, but I'm going to talk about the cult concept not defining what's a cult, what's not a cult, who's in a cult, who's not in a cult. The cult concept in the sense of the believing in zombies, believing in light and dark, believing that it's the end of the world, believing that we need to prep, believing that, Chad and Lori might be the head of 144,000 people, members of the elect, that kind of thing, and then say, how did they behave in that social construct? If Chad Daybell, if he wasn't a prophet, what extraordinary thing did he have going for him in 2018, 2019? Okay? Now you might say, well, Thielen, he had a great wife, Tammy, he had all these adult children, he's an upstanding citizen. Okay, for a normal person, that would be something to be very proud of. But he's self-publishing his books, and seemingly Tammy's the one that's kind of doing the work. And he is going to these conventions, and he's kind of doing things to kind of get his books going. He might be doing podcasts and the like. But other than this, the normal Joe stuff that a dad would have, what extraordinary thing did he have going for him? Did he have his charming personality? Did he have his fabulous looks? Before Chad met Lori, he was publishing his own work and another, like say Susan Freeman. She was one author. I'm going to give you one sidetrack. Allegedly, he confided to Suzanne that the call-outs were going to happen. And what that meant was that the prophets were to be called out before tribulation. And obviously he was a prophet, so he's going to be called out for tribulation. And he felt the call-outs were going to happen soon. And this was maybe, I don't know, 5 to 8 years before this current drama. So, and he thought he would have to stop publishing, and he really didn't want to publish anymore, but Tammy wanted to, yada, yada, yada. So allegedly, as a side note, he and Suzanne, they get into it over her publishing rights. So they had a dispute as to the publishing rights, and allegedly the contract that later she had an attorney looked at said it was like one of the most one-sided contracts he'd ever seen. And so I think Suzanne just let it go. But I just want to say, hey Suzanne, if you ever watch this, challenge Chad in civil court right now if you want those publishing rights back, because you'll be out the filing fees to file your case, but your publishing rights aren't high on his list of worries right now. They're not his concern, I doubt. So he probably won't likely even respond to you, and you'll get a default judgment. So by the way, you got Chad, he's publishing books, he's going to conferences, he's talking about prepping and yada, yada, yada. But is he really just trying to sell his books? But anyway, in my opinion, Chad, let's talk about him. He's a manipulator. That's my opinion. So anyone who claims, and let me paraphrase this, your dead ancestor came to me and said you need to quit playing Frontierville on your computer, on your app on your phone. And he said that to Tammy. He wanted her to stop playing Frontierville and do what he wanted her to do. And so he said, like, her dead ancestor that she loved kind of told her to stop doing that. That's a manipulative person. Like, extremely manipulative. Using your religious beliefs against you to get you to do what he wants you to do. That is a total manipulative person. This is pre-Lori, okay? So, I mean, he's already showing elements of this manipulation and maybe a little bit of narcissism. You know, again, I'm not a doctor, but in my opinion, I see Chad's journey from a visionary. Whenever he first started writing this book, he's a visionary, right? I see his journey from visionary to prophet as either a sort of a midlife crisis gone awry, at best, or as a visionary to prophet as like a progressive delusion, at worst. And some men, like say for a midlife crisis, they get a Corvette and they get a cute blonde, right? They get a cute little blonde for their ego stroking. And then, someone who's a prophet, you know what I'm saying? They're going to get cute blondes, plural, and they're going to get it cold, for a lot of stroking. And I think that's an element of this here. He wants the attention. He wants to be special. He wants to be extraordinary. That's my opinion. So, you've got this guy who is of very average looks, and I guess some people might have found him charismatic. I think he's about as charismatic as a potato, but that's just me. He's coming to these women allegedly at, these different places, be it a podcast or a conference, where he's hawking his books or whatever. This is allegedly. And, pulling this "we were married in a previous life" kind of pickup line. And, of course, Lori falls for it, Oh, Lori, she falls for it. But I don't think that Lori was the first lady that Chad pulled this pickup line on. And, maybe some of the ladies, if anybody else took him up on it, maybe they're married and don't want to come forward. According to Melanie Gibb, Chad and Lori were to develop into these heads of the 144,000 people that were going to lead in the end times. And Chad and Lori were trying to find people that would fit into that group. That's one reason people think this is a cult, because you're talking about you're ahead of something. It's a certain number of people. It's a gathering of people. I mean, one of the elect, if you remember. I mean, this is all paraphrased, but I can understand why people hearing this would think that's like a cult. So Melanie Gibbs said that their teachings, their actual teachings, were inconsistent with the doctrine of LDS, and that the members would be like one of the elect if you choose to be in their group, and that Lori was really enthusiastic. She was excited about getting Melanie on board and being one of the elect. So, I mean, who knows who else Lori got in? Did she get in Uncle Alex? Did she get in Melanie, her niece Melanie? Did she get in any of? I mean, she could be out there gathering followers. I mean, even if it's just loosely. But Melanie Gibbs states that Chad was the first one to bring up the zombie concept to Lori, and that, allegedly it happened over the phone, and that Lori was a little taken back, but then she sat with it, and told Melanie, he said something about, people turning into zombies and all this stuff. So the zombie concept allegedly was Chad's idea, and Melanie Gibb alleges that she came to understand, so over time, that Chad would tend to sit in a portal to receive his revelations. And that he had Lori. I don't know if he showed her where the portal was or if he created her a portal, I don't know. But he had her sit in a portal so that she could communicate with him while he was still married to Tammy. Because, you can't always be with the mistress or whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, give me one little moment of snarkiness. Jesus, this reminds me of the Carrie closet in the movie Carrie, and I love that movie, but it's just like, whoa, Carrie did not want to go in the Carrie closet, where there was all these relics and artifacts and Jesus, bleeding Jesuses, and, all these Bibles and, a dark closet to commune with Jesus, but I mean, you got to get your bit of Chad the way you can. So, if you want to have a moment with Chad, you go in the portal and you can communicate on the astral plane with Chad. So, I mean, between that, the portals, and me thinking of the Carrie closet, and then I keep hearing that Cranberry song, Zombie, and it is an earworm for me. It's like, zombie. It's like, no, don't ruin that song for me. I love that song, but this case is crazy, all right? I believe that Melanie G said that Chad also used divination for answers, and that she was kind of taken aback by that. Once she realizes this is how he's getting his revelations, he's not like going out on a mountaintop and hearing the voice of God, which would be almost schizophrenic, but that's neither here nor there. He's actually allegedly kind of like taking a pendulum and kind of woo-woo, like you take a book and you ask questions and however. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is allegedly like the kind of stuff, kind of fortune teller-ish stuff. So, having said, I'm giving you this cult concept, all right, this ideology, and some of the people in it. And here's the question I'm going to ask, okay? How dedicated were the members to these teachings? The zombie concept, the dark light, the 144,000, the end of the world. And here's my answer. For Chad and Lori, just look at what they did once they were fully together. Once all those pesky obstacles were out of the way, once the Charles Vallow was out of the way, once Ty Lee was out of the way, once JJ was out of the way, once Tammy was out of the way, and even some of the pesky people that started asking questions and doubts, once all those people were out of the way and they're together, what did they do having to do with their religious beliefs? What? I'm waiting for you. Tell me, what did they do? What zombie hunting did they do? Did they go on the streets of Honolulu and scream about the end of the world and try to get elects? And people do that in Honolulu. They will go out in the street and scream about the end of the world. No, they didn't do that. Were they fighting zombies? No. They were out sunning themselves. They were vacationing. They were going to luau. They were getting their pictures taken. Great, I mean, look like professional photographs, So in my opinion, someone who is fanatic, okay, so we're talking about the cult concept or the religious belief concept. Someone who's fanatic usually stays fanatic until they're either deprogrammed or some massive thing happens that makes them come to Jesus, no pun intended. So, does it really matter who is crazier? No, And I mean crazy in not the psychological sense, just in the normal parlance. I mean, does it matter who the alleged ringleader was? Does it matter if it was Chad? Does it matter if it was Lori? I mean, for a legal conspiracy, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter unless somebody was under some kind of duress. And I'm not getting that. I'm not feeling that from the main players, okay? And some folks have speculated that Lori and Chad could be experiencing some kind of a dual shared psychosis or a folie à deux. I mean, sure, maybe they, if I was a defense attorney and if the insanity defense was allowed, boy, I think that would be the first go-to for me as a defense attorney. But, mental illness is complicated and it's complex, and I'm not totally ruling it out, but I am saying, in my opinion, I think there was a little bit more to it. I think there was a little bit more into the let's be together, the sexual aspect of it, you know what I mean? And money, which I've gone on in another video. So that's the cult concept and what they did once they seemingly got what they wanted. And also, can I just add, whenever Lori was in jail and Chad wasn't in jail, they allegedly did some video calls or something. Why didn't the portal work? If you really believe in portals, why didn't that work? What do we see out of both Lori and Chad post-deaths, after pretty much all this carnage? Okay, consciousness of guilt. Boy, they almost check every single legal box of consciousness of guilt. And I want to add another example that I didn't put in the other video. I think it was the last video I did about consciousness of guilt. And that is when Lori rented the storage unit. She uses the surname Lori Ryan instead of Lori Vallow, or even Lori Vallow Daybell. I don't think she could have used Daybell yet, but she didn't use Lori Vallow. She'd not been Lori Ryan since Jesus wore short pants at this point. And then I think she did that as another ruse. What do we see out of both Lori and Chad? Consciousness of guilt. We see calm and collected demeanor. I mean, ice couldn't melt in their mouths, could they? Could it? Even in Hawaii. Vacationing with no comment. We see lawyering up. All right, fair enough. No shade on people lawyering up. But they both lawyered up. We see distancing from pesky people who would be asking questions like Kay Woodcock, like their own family, like their own adult children, the ones that survived. Anyone who would be around that could be asking them any kind of pesky questions, they distance themselves from this. This is post-deaths, okay? And when confronted by the inner circle, like say Melanie G, they ask her to lie about having JJ, and she declines to lie. And they're having a conversation. Allegedly, Chad said, quote, "For your own safety, we cannot tell you where the kids are." Why? Why? Because he would have to kill Mel G if she knew that at that moment the kids were really buried on Chad's property. This is the kind of stuff we see out of Lori and Chad after the carnage. What happened to the leadership of the 144,000? By Hawaiian time, it just fizzled out, didn't it? It just fizzled out. You have what? I'm trying to think. You had Lori, Alex, and Melanie allegedly all kind of living in the same kind of condo complex. And I think you might have even had Ian kind of nearby. It's almost like you had a little group going and kind of getting together and distanced from other people, but then it was like you went off and it's just like, we're done. You know what? Those revelations are gone. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just riffing here, but it's interesting how they just kind of wash their hands of all that stuff. I mean, have you ever seen someone who is really off their nut? They'll get in court and be screaming to the judge during the hearings about their religion, about, the government being against them. I mean, they are off their nut consistently, not only when it's convenient for them. And another thing, this is a side note. This doesn't have anything else to do with post-deaths having to do with Lori and Chad, but I did see on the state's witness list there is a Social Security investigator listed. And that got me thinking, tick, 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 because I always mention, well, to me, this is very much about the money, okay? And did Lori collect any kind of benefits, any kind of Social Security money that she shouldn't have? And I'm thinking the answer might be yes, because collecting on the minor children's survivor benefits when the minor children are dead, it is fraud. Yeah. So, you might catch another charge. I mean, it won't be a humongous charge, but you might catch a federal charge there. And see, allegedly Tylee was getting some of Joe Ryan's money because, he was dead. And then allegedly had JJ had some disability money because he was a special needs child, but then he was dead. So if Lori and she allegedly had their birth certificates and some of their bank cards and things, if she was still getting the money for that and they're dead, oh no, that's not good. Especially if you know they're dead. No bueno, guys, no bueno. So that's what I'm going to talk about for Lori and Chad's social behavior post-deaths. Now I'm going to get in a little more tricky area. I'm going to try to tread real lightly here. I want to talk about Melanie Boudreau Pulowski. This is my opinion, guys. Let me just set this up. Lori Vallow is the aunt to this Melanie. There's two Melanies, Melanie Gibb and Melanie Pulowski. So Lori V is the aunt to Melanie Pulowski. She's a mother figure to Melanie. And in my opinion, Melanie Boudreau Pulowski is either hoodwinked or very good at lying. Or maybe both. I don't know. I've watched her videos so many times, and there's so many discrepancies between the videos. I don't know. Melanie loved Lori, and I particularly think this family is an interesting family. I'll just say it just like that. But anyway, Melanie follows her aunt, Lori, to Rexburg. What's in Rexburg, guys? Really, what is in Rexburg? Melanie seemingly loves Lori. She wants to support Lori. She wants to believe Lori. But then there's some things to me that just don't ring completely true. Her new husband, Ian Pulowski, he marries her slap in the middle of this mess, but it's more towards the tail end of this mess. And so he allegedly, after he marries her very quickly, he has doubts when Melanie starts telling him about the family situation, to say the least, right? So he freaks out. Her new husband freaks out, tells his ex-wife what his new wife is saying, because, they have kids together. So he's, like, oh, man. And so he ends up wired by the FBI to record his new wife, Melanie, and Lori and Chad if they were to call. And it said that when allegedly, maybe when Lori and Chad did talk to Melanie, that they didn't even talk about the kids. So there was nothing like to get out of that. Oh my God, can you imagine your kids are missing? And this is like your dedicated niece. This is your follower. This is your niece. This is your family. This is someone this is in your trusted circle. This is in the member of the elect. And the kids are missing. And if they're calling from Hawaii or wherever, they didn't even talk about the kids. Is that because she knew it already happened to the kids? Or was Lori and Chad being very circumspect? I don't know. This is according to Ian. So anyway, Ian's wearing a wire to discern what's going on with his new wife. That's trust for you. And he ends up feeling like his wife is being taken advantage of. So at this point, allegedly at this point, and I could be 2 weeks behind, he's at the point he feels that, poor Melanie's been done wrong, okay? Melanie's own father was allegedly trying to get her to see the reality about Lori and the Cox clan. But Melanie, she trusted Lori, and Ian Pulowski said that Lori, Chad, and Alex allegedly, and I want to make sure I got this correct, that Ian Pulowski allegedly said that Lori, Chad, and Alex allegedly encouraged Melanie not to fight for her kids. But there's plain evidence of an ugly custody dispute with Brandon Boudreau And by the way, Melanie tells it multiple times she wanted her kids. I mean, she was also arrested trying to obtain those kids, trying to get those kids from Brandon's parents and trespassing on the property. And they were even like allegedly saying, hey, like, we're calling the police, get out of here. And she was like, I've got a warrant for the kids, you know. So I think she wanted her kids. So, I mean, this whole thing's a mess. So I really don't know what to take about Melanie Pulowski. This one is a wild card for me. If she has anything to do, if she knows anything and has any kind of culpability, oh girl, turn state's evidence. Do it. Do it for yourself, do it for your children, do it because it's the right thing to do. Okay, let's move on to Lori's mother and sister. Oh dear gosh. So let's talk about Lori's mother and her sister Summer, because they did a sit-down interview. I'm not here looking to poke into people's lives. They are the ones that did the sit-down interview supporting Lori before the children's bodies were found, you know, and they were rather seemingly kind of smug. You know, I think that's one thing. It's like your demeanor. If you're coming off a little bit smug, that can get people on their back foot. And in my opinion, they were of the mindset that Kay Woodcock, grandma of JJ, was threatening Lori. So let's dial that back. Let's flesh this out with perspective. You got Lori's brother, Alex Cox, their relative, kills Kay Woodcock's brother, Charles Vallow. All right? So why wouldn't Kay have a problem with Lori and the Coxes? Most people would not be so happy that someone in that family killed your brother. And since Alex Cox killed her brother and then alleged self-defense, I mean, she didn't think that was accurate either. You know, and then you've got Lori now raising JJ, and the FaceTimes are starting to dwindle. So, yeah, I could understand that Kay Woodcock, even though Kay seems lovely, and it doesn't seem like this is in Kay's nature to be threatening. But if you have a brother, and the brother has decided, and you're the grandmother of this child, and the brother has decided, you know what, I'm fit, and my new wife, you know, we're fit to raise JJ. And they're like, okay, go ahead and adopt him. And everybody's fine with it. You know, grandma can see him anytime. They're FaceTiming. It's all good. Everybody's happy. And then shit starts going downhill. And then Lori and Charles are fighting, and they've got JJ there, and Lori's brother kills Charles. The one that's related by blood to JJ is Kay and Charles, who's now dead. But Lori, the one that's not genetically related, blood related to JJ, has got custody. Okay? You think Kay's going to still want to see JJ? Absolutely. Is she threatening to take custody? I don't think she even went that far, but if she did, I wouldn't be surprised by it. I really wouldn't. You know? Logic would dictate that Kay, the grandmother, would want to keep seeing JJ and maybe even get custody. But this is how that I am being threatened by Kay Woodcock and others. That's how it flew with the Cox family. That's how, and others. That's how Lori could get someone to believe her, like even Melanie. Be like, you know, Alex, you know, even though Charles came over and shot, and Alex had to shoot him in self-defense, now Kay Woodcock wants to take JJ away. You know, I guess you could buy it if you had no other knowledge of the situation. I guess that's how they bought it. I was struck by Summer's comment. I'm going to paraphrase. Lori's the legal parent of JJ after Charles's death, and paraphrasing, if she wants to keep them from Kay, that's her right. That's rather cold, don't you think? That's rather cold. Yes, true. Lori adopted JJ, so she's the legal parent of JJ. But she's not she's not blood related to him. His blood relation's now been killed by one of your blood relations, and Kay wants to keep the FaceTimes coming that are now dwindling off. So, you know, there's a dynamic there, and I think that was used to explain the missing children. I'm keeping them from Kay. I'm keeping them from all these people I'm being threatened by. According to Kay Woodcock, she heard that Lori had told neighbors, and this is after Charles's death, okay? And probably even after Tylee's death, but nobody knew that JJ is her niece's drug baby. Not JJ's my son. Not JJ's my adopted son. JJ's my niece's drug baby. And to me, that's a distancing. That's a form of distancing. That's like, you know what? You're just my niece's drug baby. Why didn't you just give him to Kay Woodcock? But anyway, I was talking about Lori's mother and sister, and I think that's how maybe they got behind believing that Lori was doing right by the children, keeping them away. If they know nothing else, maybe that's the justification for it. I don't know. I'm trying to be kind. So, okay, let's talk about Alex Cox. And I like to call him Uncle Alex. I know he's Lori's brother, and I know he's Uncle Alex to JJ and Ty Lee, but I like to call him Uncle Alex. So if I'm referring to him in reference to other people, I'm still going to call him Uncle Alex. I know the difference. His family says he's just a darn joker. You know, he's done some stand-up comedy. He's a jokester, you know. So let's go through what we know about Uncle Alex. All right. So his sister, Melanie Boudreaux Pulowski's mom, she had died of a diabetic shock years before, okay? And Uncle Alex allegedly used her credit card after her death. Allegedly. This is the kind of fella he is. I tased a pedophile, he allegedly said, as he's doing time for battering Lori's third husband, Joe Ryan. I tased a pedophile. Alex served jail time for tasing and breaking the ribs of Joe Ryan at the courthouse. I believe the story is that they were at the courthouse after he and Lori were allegedly having a custody hearing over Ty Lee Ryan. And the rumor, again, another rumor, unsubstantiated, was that Lori paid her brother to do it. I don't have any evidence of that, but that's the rumor. To tase her brother, you know, at the courthouse. And so this is what he did time for. Admitted to it. Did time for it. I tased that pedophile. So allegedly, Alex was still looking to harm Joe Ryan while he was in jail. You know, the alleged tasing didn't get the anger out of his system, and so he was asking Janice, the mother, to put Joe's address on a postcard with a license plate. But don't put his name on there. Just put his address with a postcard and a license plate, and because some people would like to know that. This is the sweet Uncle Alex, guys. This is all pre-Daybell. Okay? So allegedly, at Sister Summer's behest, Alex goes to Lori's condo to protect her from Charles Vallow, the evil Charles who was coming to pick up JJ, but was really meaning Lori harm. He was really, he meant Lori harm. So, you know, could you go over there? Summer allegedly said, hey, can you go over there, Uncle Alex? Can you go over there, Alex, and protect little old Lori? And, you know, we all know what happened there. Alex shoots and kills Charles Vallow, Lori's fourth husband. You know, he admitted to it. He said it was self-defense. Alex Cox allegedly was the one who took a shot at Brandon Boudreaux, husband of Melanie, his niece, for the honor of Melanie and without her knowledge, allegedly, without her knowledge, okay? Because of the custody dispute, all right? Guys, Charles Vallow's Jeep was used on October 2nd to try and shoot Brandon Boudreaux. And Charles was dead on that date, so he didn't try to shoot Brandon. Ty Lee was the one that typically drove that Jeep. But she was dead on October 2nd, so she wasn't driving that Jeep. Allegedly, Brandon thought he saw Alex. He knew what he looked like. So we have a good idea that Alex Cox was the one that took the shot at Brandon Boudreaux's Tesla. And I got to ask myself this. How did Uncle Alex get Melanie B's husband's address? Think about that. They weren't together anymore. Someone gave it to him, right? Who? Why? If she was unknowing, if she was without her knowledge, they were taking care of business. Also on that same date, October 2nd, that this Jeep shenanigans with the shooting is going down. Seemingly Chad and Lori were seen at the storage unit, the one she rented with a different, her former surname, taking what seems to be the Jeep's back tire and back seat out and placing it in storage. So they're bookending themselves around Uncle Alex's misdeeds. They may not be in that car, but they're bookending around it. Take out the seat. This is my speculation. Take out the seat. Take off the tire. Put it in the storage. They're doing that. He's off doing the things. Come back. Put the tire back. Put the thing back. But you know nothing about it, but you had no part in it. This screams conspiracy to me, by the way. So anyway, let's go back to Uncle Alex. It's speculated that Uncle Alex also tried to take a shot at Tammy Daybell. Both incidences were terribly similar. And you got to ask, for who? Why would Alex give 2 wet farts about Tammy Daybell? And you have to also ask yourself, who would give Alex Cox information regarding Tammy Daybell? Chad? Lori? Why would he care about Tammy Daybell? One would need to know her habits and how to avoid the Daybell's adult children that were around the house. So someone's going to have to give him that information. We're supposed to think that Alex Cox did a background check on Chad Daybell and found out where he lived and went there. And we know he went there later, but are we to believe that he just did this of his own accord? Okay, this is the jokester, guys. This is Alex Cox we're talking about. Alex Cox, or someone holding his phone, allegedly disposed of Ty Lee and JJ on the Daybell's property on 2 different days. He obviously at this point knew the address, right? How did he get the address for Chad Daybell's property? How did he get access to Chad Daybell's property? How did he make sure he wasn't seen by the Daybell children? Was he seen? We don't know. Alex Cox, or someone holding his phone, eats Del Taco right after the burial of one of the bodies. Right after he eats Del Taco. Now, granted, I love me some Del Taco, but come on. That Uncle Alex, he's just a darn jokester, isn't he? All right. So let's move on to the Daybell adult children, and I'm going to be kind here, hopefully. I have a question. So will any of the Daybell adult children come forward? Allegedly, Chad and Tammy had one of their adult children living with them when Tammy died there at the house. So what did they see? What do they know? And I know that Chad was allegedly paying for an attorney for his children at one point. I do believe that he may still be taking care of an attorney for them. And I think maybe that he's got a different attorney, that now it's on a conflict of interest and everybody's got their own attorney, which is the way it should be. Shouldn't have one attorney for every single person involved in this. So anyway, allegedly at least 1 or perhaps 2 of his sons are now living on the Daybell property, whereon Tammy, their mother, died, and 2 of the children, JJ and Ty Lee, were later found buried on the property. And frankly, that's eerie. It's one thing when your mother dies in the house and you have perhaps really sentimental feelings about the house and maybe good memories, but to know that some strangers' children were buried in the yard on 2 different dates and people were coming and going and burning things and dismembering bodies somewhere along the line. Hello, that's eerie. And to live in that house, whoa. Look, no one wants to lose both their parents, and I understand that. I truly do. The Daybell adult children have already lost their mother, Tammy. Okay? And, she was 49 years old. So that's an early death for a mother. How hard would it be to tell the hard truths about their father if they know anything? But the way I take it is perhaps they would better honor their mother by telling those hard truths, whatever they are. And, perhaps they already have. And, we shall see. Okay, let's talk about Tammy's side of the family. Victims. Keeping out of the press, allegedly, Tammy's side of the family were surprised at her untimely death. Wouldn't you be? She was 49 years old. Then Chad skipped town, and then they find out he's remarried to Lori Vallow. And allegedly they did not, or they do not want to alienate the adult Daybell children. That's understandable. You know, now their father's in jail. So, I mean, especially now, they need the support of their family, and I think that's totally understandable that Tammy's side of the family is not wanting to be out there in the press, alienating the children and talking a bunch of stuff. So, also allegedly, some of the Tammy's family were surprised that they weren't notified ahead of time about Tammy's exhumation, because she had to be exhumed. Her body had to be exhumed to make sure to see, you know, if she really died of natural causes. But she was exhumed, she was autopsied, she was neatly reburied. I believe it was the following day. So I think they were upset about that, not the fact that she was exhumed, the fact that they weren't notified of it. That's what I heard, but I don't know. And so to wrap up, let's talk about the social behavior of Lori, the Ice Queen, in my opinion. Let's just give you some examples. Let's just pop off some examples. Okay, so she is still hanging out with her brother, Uncle Alex Cox, who assaulted her ex-husband, Joe Ryan. Okay, you don't think that was awkward for the kids that her brother had gone and tased Joe Ryan? You know, he ends up doing jail time. Don't you think that violence isn't really that acceptable? No, maybe it is. Like, if you have everybody convinced that Joe Ryan's a pedophile, maybe they were happy that you did it. But yeah, I mean, that's a strange behavior. Then, when Joe Ryan dies in his home and his body isn't discovered right away, Lori's the next of kin, so she's the one that's notified, all right? She allegedly didn't notify his own family. She didn't claim his body. That is a very odd thing to do. I understand that people can have vicious custody fights and just really dislike their ex and all this stuff, but at some point when somebody's dead, don't you do the right thing? Don't you go ahead and notify their family? I mean, is there any level of common courtesy here? Allegedly, she also discouraged her daughter, Tylee Ryan, from mourning her father, Joe Ryan. Who does that? Okay, let's talk about the ugliness to Charles Vallow that she displayed, and actually even laughed about it at the police station. She thought that was funny. Canceling the plane tickets when he was on a business trip, moving his truck from the airport, moving money from a business account before payroll, thereby then making him not be able to pay his employees on time, wiring the money to some unknown account, taking the children, locking him out. I mean, I think she even got rid of his underwear. That's mean as a pit viper. I mean, how flippant she was at the police station, claiming that he was cheating, and that's what justified all the stuff that I just named. She was making jokes. Is there a gym at the behavioral center that, you know, they'd had the order that she needed to go to? I mean, she is good at manipulating. She really is. This speculation of a Charles is going to hurt me scenario or a danger scenario that she was building up, or some people were building up, when seemingly there wasn't one. We can see by the body cam videos that he was trying to get her help, and he was trying to get his son. That is what we are seeing. But she was so good at manipulation, you know. She was sitting there in the police station. We can see this on the body cam videos. You know, she's saying how he contacted her family and that he was impersonating her, and you know, he took her purse. Well, basically, she wiped him freaking out, like, and laughed about it. And then he found where her car was when she was dropping the kid off, and he went and snatched her purse, maybe to try to look for the $35,000. I have no idea, but he did snatch her purse. And then catch this, you guys, that she went to the police for that. So stop and think that. He took her purse after she wiped him completely out, okay? And she went to the police. But her kids can go missing, and she doesn't go to the police. Do you see the irony there? Okay, so anyway, taking Tylee along to the police station regarding the community bridges service and all that stuff. I mean, she had Melanie Gibb along with her at the police station. She didn't need to drag the kids along. That is mentally damaging to the kids, in my opinion. So, you know, her demeanor on the body cam also, following the death of Charles Vallow. That woman, she did, I mean, I've been more upset about hitting an inanimate object with my car. I mean, I can't fathom knowing that your current husband is laying dead on the floor and you're just like, taking JJ to school as Charles Vallow is laying dying on the floor. What kind of person does that? Do you... that's something's wrong there. Something's terribly wrong. Following the killing of her husband, Charles, in the condo, the property manager noted all the chaos in the cop cars, you know, because it was a whole mess. I mean, I'm sure in that little town they're not used to having all the cop cars come in for, you know, for self-defense murders. And so the property manager noted that per the neighbors, that Lori threw a damn pool party with loud music that evening. Okay? So the property manager was not having any of it. And he texted her that, you know, because he was like, what's going on? And she allegedly replied, we're okay, I'll explain later. And then she went and had this massive pool party with loud noise. And so the property manager asked her to move out by August 31st, 2019. He wasn't having any of it. You know, there are some people in this story that just were not having the shenanigans. And then Lori allegedly texted Charles's adult sons, informing them of Charles's death. Quote, he died. That's the paraphrase. It's very passive, like he died, not my brother killed your dad. Yeah. So, yeah, not sorry my brother killed your father. Your father died. And then allegedly when they were trying to get follow-up, like going, what the heck? And like follow-up text, like she wasn't responsive to them. And they had to like let her know that this wasn't an appropriate method of communication about something so incredibly important. So Lori's brother has shot her husband near or in front of the children. And what does she do? She takes her special needs son to school. I mean, that just boggles the damn mind. And then the little snidey comment later on, allegedly that JJ is just the niece's drug baby. I don't know. I think there was some talk that maybe JJ was acting kind of extra, maybe because he was off his meds, and then someone said, like, why is he acting like that or whatever, and then that was her throwaway response. I'm not sure. But calling and deeming JJ and Tylee as zombies, these are your children for all intents and purposes. And it's just to me, it's a way to distance, to make it okay to get rid of them. That's my opinion. Withholding meds from JJ to make him seem wilder and, you know, lose control, maybe to justify his zombie-like behavior or whatever. And then not telling authorities or the family or anyone what happened to the children, just letting people, like even the public, letting everyone worry and suffer. That is so incredibly cruel. I mean, the level of cruelty there is off the charts. And the money spent for people looking for them. And it's just unnecessary, you know. Her demeanor regarding her missing children, indifferent, unbothered, quiet, little no comments, her little shrugs, and it's unbelievable. It's really, truly unbelievable. And if she's unwell, and if Chad's unwell, I hope they get the help they need, and I hope they get the justice that's due them. I hope that people are able to heal. But I honestly think that sometimes the best way to heal is just to start telling the truth. Just start telling the truth. People can appreciate, I know it's hard to believe, but people really, truly can appreciate the truth. What gets you in more trouble is lying and trying to minimize things and to justify things. Just coming out and telling the truth and just putting your hands in the air and going, you know, here is the truth. That is the best policy. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I tried to look at all the social aspects and the different behaviors of the different players. And that's just my opinion of it. And I would love to hear what you think. So if you like this video, please push the like and subscribe button and leave your comments down below. And I hope you have an excellent day. Take good care. Bye.